86 is one of the most acclaimed anime of the last decade. It's been nominated for major awards, praised by critics, and recommended by fans for years. Ask almost anyone who's watched the show, and they'll tell you that it's one of the best anime of the 2020s, me included. So why does it feel like many people still haven't seen it? And why, after many years, this show has yet to be greenlit for a second season? The answer is a bit more complicated than you're probably thinking. So today, we're looking at why 86 never became mainstream and never got in that second season it definitely deserves. Released in 2021, 86, animated by the legendary A1 Pictures, is an anime adaptation of the light novel by Asato Asato with art by Shirabi. At first glance, 86 looks just like another mecha anime. Giant machines battle across war-torn landscapes against a restless enemy. But beneath all that lies one of the most powerful war stories anime has produced in recent years. The story takes place in the Republic of San Magnolia, a nation locked in brutal conflict against an army of autonomous drones known as the Legion. To its citizens, the government proudly claims that the war is being fought entirely by unmanned machines, creating the illusion of a casualty-free conflict. But obviously, if you've seen the first couple minutes of the show, you know that that claim is a lie. In reality, the Republic has stripped the entire ethnic minority of their humanity and forced them to fight on the front lines. These people, known as the 86, are treated as less than human by the very nation they are protecting, while the citizens of San Magnolia live comfortably behind massive walls. The 86 are sent into battle every day with little hopes of survival. The story follows two very different perspectives. The first is Vadalena Milize, but we can just call her Lena for short, a young military officer who believes that the 86 deserve to be treated as human beings, despite the prejudice surrounding her. The second is Shine Nozen, but we can also refer to him as Shin, the battle-hardened leader of the 86 Squadron Spearhead, who spent years watching his comrades die in a war that most people in the country pretends either doesn't exist or don't matter at all. As Lena and Shin's worlds begin to interact, 86 explores themes of racism, discrimination, propaganda, survivor's guilt, and the true cost of war. While many anime use war as a backdrop for action, 86 uses it to ask a difficult question about humanity, morality, and what happens when a society decides that certain people are worth less than others. It's themes like these, combined with stunning visuals, emotional storytelling, and unforgettable characters, that lead many fans to call 86 one of the best anime of the 2020s. Yet, despite all of that praise, the series never reached a level of mainstream popularity that many, including me, believed it deserved, and never got that second season. And one of the reasons why could be traced to the environment that 86 was in. There is a reason why 2020 and 2021 are often remembered as one of the biggest anime booms in history. More focus on 2021 because that's when 86 was airing. While a large part of that can be attributed to the COVID-19 pandemic keeping people at home, another major factor was simply the sheer number of incredible anime airing during that period. Just look at the nominees for the 2022 Anime Awards, gives you an idea of how stacked 2021 actually was. You had Jujutsu Kaisen dominating the conversation, Re:Zero continuing its highly acclaimed second season, Mushoku Tensei making waves as one of the biggest isekai releases in years, Odd Taxi becoming a surprise critical darling, Komi Can Communicate attracting massive attention, and of course, Attack on Titan's final season, which felt like the entire anime community was talking about every single week. And that's only scratching the surface. The problem for 86 wasn't that it was a bad show. In fact, many fans would argue it was one of the best anime airing that time. The problem was that it launched during one of the most competitive periods in modern anime history. Every season seemed to have multiple must-watch shows fighting for the viewer's attention, and there are only so many hours in a day. When casual viewers open up Crunchyroll, Netflix, or any of their legal or illegal streaming service, they are drawn towards the biggest names and shows generating the most online discussion. And as a result, 86 found itself competing against some of the most popular and most talked about anime of the decade. No matter how good it was, standing out in the crowd like that was always going to be difficult, and as we see later, the competition wasn't the only thing working against it.
One argument I've seen a lot online is that 86 simply wasn't marketed well. But after looking back at the promotional materials surrounding the anime's release, I don't think that's entirely fair. For a light novel adaptation, 86 received a pretty solid marketing push. Aniplex released multiple trailers before the anime aired. The series appeared at major industry events such as Anime Japan 2021, and Crunchyroll actively promoted it as part of its Spring 2021 lineup. The show had beautiful key visuals, a worldwide simulcast, and plenty of attention leading up to its premiere. The problem wasn't that nobody knew 86 existed, the problem was that 2021 was one of the most competitive years in the modern anime history, making it incredibly difficult for new series to stand out. Even with good marketing, 86 was competing for attention against some of the biggest names in the industry. And unfortunately, there was another obstacle standing in its way: the mecha genre. If you watch trailers and promotional videos for 86, you'll notice there's a common theme. The marketing heavily focuses on character shots and reactions while intersplicing on the large-scale battles, military action, robotic themes, and the juggernauts, the spider-like machines piloted by the 86. While these elements are important to the story, they also give the impression that 86 is primarily a mecha anime. For many viewers, that's where the problem begins. Mecha isn't nearly as dominant as it was during the 1980s and the 1990s. While the genre still has dedicated fans, many modern anime viewers simply aren't interested in giant robots. The moment they hear the word mecha, they immediately assume the show isn't for them and move on to something else. The irony is that 86 isn't popular because of the mechs. In fact, the fans praise the show more so for its characters, emotional storytelling, and pretty much everything I mentioned before. Yet for many potential viewers, the mecha label was enough to stop them from ever giving the show a chance. And when placed alongside massive mainstream hits like Attack on Titan, which is technically a flesh mecha if you think about it, but we're not ready for that conversation. Jujutsu Kaisen and Tokyo Revengers, 86 had an uphill battle, not because it lacked quality and not because it lacked marketing, but because it belonged to a genre that many viewers had already decided to ignore. This next problem, while isn't nearly as damaging as the other issues I've discussed, is still an important factor that cannot be ignored. The anime was originally planned to release in 2020, before being pushed back to 2021. Now, on its own, that delay isn't a major issue. The real problem began during the second core of the series. Premiering on October 3rd, 2021, the second core would experience multiple production delays throughout its run. Episodes 18 and 19 which were pushed back by an additional week per episode, which wasn't ideal, but also wasn't enough to seriously damage the show's momentum. The bigger issue came near the end of the season. After episode 21 aired December 25th, 2021, fans expecting the conclusion of the story were instead met with an announcement that episodes 22 and 23 would be delayed until March of 2022. Rather than waiting a week for the next episode, viewers were forced to wait 3 months for the finale. Now, to be clear, the staff made the right decision. The final episodes were widely considered some of the best episodes in the entire show, and many fans would argue the wait was completely worth it. However, anime thrives on a weekly discussion. Every week, fans gather online to share reactions, clips, theories, and recommendations. When the series suddenly disappears for months, that momentum becomes incredibly difficult to maintain. By the time 86 returned in March of 2022, many viewers had already shifted their attention towards the next season's biggest shows. The anime still delivered an incredible ending, but it did so after losing much of the conversation and excitement that helped modern anime grow. This is eerily reminiscent of what happened to Code Geass back in the day, and by this point, 86 was fighting an uphill battle. The final factor, and the one that ties directly to my first point, is that 86's biggest moments were emotional payoffs rather than internet-breaking spectacles.
And to be clear, that's not a bad thing. Some of the greatest moments in anime history aren't just massive fights or flashy transformations or hype moments in aura. They are moments that hit because you spent dozens of episodes growing attached to the characters. The problem is that these moments are much harder to sell to someone scrolling through TikTok, YouTube Shorts, or Twitter.
We live in an era where many people judge an anime's popularity by the clips they see online. When people think of anime in 2021, they think of Todo Itadori fighting Hanami, or Naruto going Baryon mode, or when Goldie Roger fought against Whitebeard. These are massive, visually impressive moments that can be clipped into 30-second videos and immediately get someone's attention. 86 doesn't really have moments like that. Instead, its most beloved scenes are more emotional, more tangent on you building up emotional connections with these characters. Moments like these are incredibly powerful, but they only work because of the emotional investment built up over the course of the story. You can't fully appreciate those scenes through 10-second clips on social media unless you've seen the entire show. And that's where 86 found itself at a disadvantage. Its greatest strength were its characters, its themes, and its emotional payoffs, but in a period where online discussion is incredibly driven by viral clips, fight scenes, and hype moments, those strengths didn't translate into the same level of mainstream attention that other anime were receiving. Like, just imagine if 86 came out around the same time Solo Leveling. Some fans might argue that 86 actually didn't fail at all, and honestly, they have a point, kinda. What's interesting about 86 is that the anime wasn't ignored by critics, viewers, or award shows. It was nominated for Anime of the Year at the Crunchyroll Anime Awards and went on to win multiple anime trending awards, including Best New Anime and Best Soundtrack. The issue was never quality. Few people who have actually watched 86 would argue that the show is anything less than exceptional. The problem was visibility. 86 found itself competing during one of the most crowded periods in anime history. While the show developed an incredibly passionate fanbase and earned widespread critical acclaim, it never quite reached the same level of mainstream recognition as some of its contemporaries. And yet, years later, people are still talking about it. New viewers continue to discover the series. Clips of its emotional moments circulate online, and discussions about a potential second season remain common throughout the community. For a show that many people claim was overlooked, 86 has shown remarkable staying power. At the same time though, that enduring popularity has made the current situation surrounding the anime even more frustrating. Despite its critical success and dedicated fanbase, a continuation of the story has never been announced, and more recently, the show has been removed from several streaming platforms due to licensing changes, making it even harder for newer viewers to discover one of the most acclaimed anime of its generation. So if you're someone who wants to see a second season, there's still reason to be hopeful. The best thing fans can do is continue supporting the franchise through official releases, merchandise, light novels, and legal streaming platforms whenever possible. At the end of the day, the anime industry responds to demand, and the more support 86 receives, the easier it becomes to justify continuing the adaptation. After all, anime sequels have returned after much longer hiatuses. If Devil's a Part-Timer could come back after nearly a decade, then maybe the story of Shin and Lena isn't over just yet. So what do you think of these factors as to why I think 86 isn't as big as it should be? Do you think the show is going to receive a second season? Let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. And until next time, I've been Oniame, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.